Kevin Garnett's time with the Minnesota Timberwolves was at times great, but towards the end it was pretty rough. And reflecting on that era, KG said that he wishes he asked for a trade a little bit earlier. And similar to KG, Anthony Davis is an elite player who has the talent to be the best player in the league. He's also the reason why I'm confident that this series isn't going to end abruptly, because we're already pretty decent with him. But decent is not good enough. And it's probably not good enough for a star like AD. We don't want him to end up like Kevin Garnett where we're forced to eventually trade the guy. So we're going to have to get him a second star player in here. And while free agency is always possible, and we will talk about it, let's address the idea of a trade first. Now, we have some tools to do it because we have all of our draft picks moving forward. And we do have some tradable pieces. I guess our best one outside of Davis, of course, where we're not going to move him, is probably Julius Randle. I think some teams would be interested in him, but at the same time, I'm interested in him as well. He could end up being super valuable for us on this team. Other than that, we have some tradable contracts, even if the players themselves are not too exciting. There's Ep.1 Moore, who is a fine enough role player who can put up a solid 13 points a game. There's Solomon Hill, who makes $13 million a season, and on his very best day, he is a decent 3-and-D player. But I can't just talk about who we would trade and not talk about who I actually would like to take on. I mean, there's two guys right now who are on one-year contracts. The first one's Jimmy Butler in a Timberwolves situation that could go south, and the other one is Kemba Walker on a Hornets team that is simply just not that great. I think there's a chance either one of these dudes could end up as free agents, so maybe we could jump on it then. But while 2K is, of course, not real life in terms of star player, one-year deal, team isn't doing that well, you can trade for the guy, I think we should at least keep these two options open, and we should see how these two teams are doing throughout the year. Just for the sake of it, I figured, hey, why not? What would it take right now? Jimmy Butler's not going to happen. Kemba Walker, we actually could trade for him right now. However, we would have to give up Drew Holiday in the process, which I feel like kind of kills the entire point of doing it, because Drew is a hell of a player, one of the best two-way guys in the league, and I'm going to hold on to him for as long as I can because he's by far and away our best perimeter player. He's the only guy besides Anthony Davis on this team who can create his own offense, make some tough shots, play both backcourt positions, and defend the best player on the other team. So we're not trading him away. Now, I mentioned free agency. Jimmy Butler seems like he's going to test the open market. Kemba Walker is at least leaning in that direction. And if we look at our money situation, there are some decisions we have to make. One of them is Nikola Mirotic, who I could rationalize keeping because he's a good player, but if we would have to let him go in order to have a chance at one of those guys, well, then sorry, Nico, you're probably going to be out the door. Another player is Alfred Payton, who would probably cost a lot less than Mirotic, but we still have to see what he's got. I mean, he cut his hair, which is huge, could potentially be massive, but what is he as a point guard? He's okay, and he can make some plays for himself and others. His defense is whatever, his shooting is whatever. I don't know. He might not be on this team a year from now. Another free agent is Klay Thompson, who's actually leaning towards leaving the Warriors. I don't typically like to edit like players' personality things, but in the case of Klay, I may have to, because if there's one guy in the NBA who would actually be content with not taking a max contract, it might actually be Klay. I don't know. But we got to get someone, okay? Because Anthony Davis can't just keep on being this superstar who has the talent to be the best player in the league on a 45 at best win team. And hell, there's a chance that those 45 wins might not even come for us this season if we have some rocky roads throughout the year because the West is loaded. Of course, you're looking at the top with the Houston Rockets, who could end up getting the 1 seed again if they go balls to the wall in the regular season. We've got the Golden State Warriors, who should be respected as the best team. I do not think we have a chance to really contend with either one of these two. I think we are in the next group, though. The OKC Thunder. Just losing Carmelo Anthony could be viewed as an improvement. Their defense should be really good, and they have two great players. You've got LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers now, who are going to be contending somewhere between number 3 and like number 6, I would say. The San Antonio Spurs with DeMar DeRozan. 2K doesn't like the Spurs even when they had Kawhi, so maybe we'll be okay there because the simulator might screw them up, but they should be good. And then you've also got the Utah Jazz, who should be the best defensive team in the NBA. I think we can compete with those 4 teams, but it's still going to be tricky nonetheless. And that's still the number one thing. I mean, yeah, we're going to look at trade rumors and which players want out and what teams are disappointing and all that, but we have to be as good as possible with what we have right now, and that should be the number one priority. As for the rest of the team, there's Darius Miller, who is an okay enough, well, better than okay, a very good outside shooter who's going to play some decent minutes for us. And then we also have a bit of a competition for the backup center position. We have Jahlil Okafor, who, as we know, is going to post up, and if he does anything else for you, then that would be awesome. We have Emeka Okafor, whose defense and rebounding are legit. And if I had to pick one guy to win this competition out right now, it's probably him. But we also have to look at Cheick Diallo, who is a better athlete than both of those two, even if his game in terms of talent is still pretty raw. So we're going to give all 3 of those guys a chance. We'll see what happens. We have to remember that Julius Randle should also be getting some time at the backup center position. And he might be the one guy on this team who has a lot of potential, who could elevate himself into being that other star player. I don't know. That might be a little too optimistic, but Anthony Davis is a beast. And we need to get some real talent around him so we can, 1, convince him to stay, but also get this team to a championship level.